My phone lit up at 7:15 on a Tuesday morning. I was finishing breakfast in the kitchen when the screen flashed with a new message. Expected maybe something work-related or a reminder about an appointment. What I got was a text from my wife, Veronica, that completely upended everything I thought I knew about my life. Change of plans. You won't be joining us. The kids decided they want their biological father for the Europe trip instead. Clayton's taking your spot. Read through it multiple times, trying to make sense of it. The message stayed the same, no matter how many times I looked. No explanation offered, no attempt to cushion the blow, just stated like I was an employee being reassigned. Set my phone aside and found myself watching the steam rise from my coffee cup. My hands were remarkably calm, which surprised me more than anything else in that moment. Sat back down and thought about all the planning we'd done. 6 months of coordination, circling dates, calculating budgets, figuring out logistics. I'd pulled extra shifts at the ceramics plant where I work industrial tile production to cover the costs. Even bought the airline tickets the previous week, $1,900 per person for 3 tickets. Charged it all to my card. Apparently those reservations weren't meant to include me anymore. The silence in the apartment felt abnormal. Veronica had already taken off the day before, with her kids Theo and Miranda, gone to crash at her sister Bethany's place before catching their flight this morning. 2 weeks in Europe was the plan. Paris, Rome, museums, outdoor cafes, photographs at historic landmarks. I'd genuinely been counting down the days. That anticipation evaporated completely in the space of reading one text message. Pulled up my banking app. The joint account we shared showed the Europe savings nearly depleted after purchasing those tickets. My personal savings account, the one I'd been building solo for 5 years, remained untouched. That money represented stability I'd carefully constructed. Checked my email next and located all the flight confirmations, everything billed to my credit card under my name. Her name listed as a passenger, both her kids listed, and apparently Clayton Hutchinson now listed as well. I'd never crossed paths with Clayton personally. He'd been completely absent before I entered the picture 8 years ago. Then, 6 months back, he materialized at Theo's high school graduation, acting like the devoted father who'd been present all along. Like he'd attended every school function, an emergency room visit and parent conference. Veronica characterized his return as closure for her kids. I recognized it as something else entirely, but kept that assessment to myself. Got up and moved to the window overlooking the parking area. Below me, people were heading to their vehicles, beginning their ordinary Tuesday routines, everyone moving with purpose. My shift started in about 40 minutes. Nothing exciting about tile manufacturing, but the income was reliable. Took that position 8 years back when we needed steady money, when her kids needed school clothes and winter gear and someone to keep the car running, when predictability mattered more than ambition. Retrieved my laptop and navigated to my saved bookmarks. My father drilled into me at 17 the importance of maintaining financial records. So I documented every transaction, archived every receipt, tracked every automated payment in detailed spreadsheets, had this comprehensive folder dedicated solely to household costs. Opened it up. 8 years of financial documentation filled my screen. Every rent payment originated from my checking account. Every utility bill carried my name attached to my payments. Auto insurance for her Mazda charged to my card. Phone service plans registered under my account. All the streaming platforms, those meal delivery subscriptions, gym memberships I barely touched. Everything circled back to one source. Me. Consistently me. Started compiling a comprehensive list. Wasn't approaching this from anger necessarily. Just needed to see everything laid out in concrete terms, needed verification of what I already understood but hadn't truly confronted. When I finished tallying everything up, the number hit 42. 42 distinct monthly charges pulling from my accounts like clockwork. Another message came through from Veronica. Please don't be upset about this. Clayton wants time bonding with his children. I know you understand. Composed 5 different responses. Deleted every single one. What I eventually sent back was simply enjoy your trip and nothing additional. 4 words with a period. Then I contacted my supervisor and requested the day off. Family situation, I explained. He approved it without digging for specifics. Returned to my spot at the table with laptop, phone, and 8 years worth of documentation. Wasn't planning on yelling or pleading. Going to handle this the way you handle any structure built on unstable ground. Methodically, systematically, thoroughly. The coffee had turned cold by the time I completed my first batch of calls. Barely registered the temperature. Had a dozen more lined up before lunch. Initial call went to my credit card company. Explained I needed an authorized user removed. Representative inquired if there was an issue with the account. No issue, I responded, just streamlining things. Took less than 5 minutes to remove Veronica. Representative thanked me for calling. I reciprocated and disconnected. Second round hit all the streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Spotify family plan. Systematically canceled each subscription while observing vehicles departing the lot through my window. Every company followed identical scripts. May I ask your reason for canceling? Reducing expenses, I told them repeatedly. They offered promotional rates, retention incentives. Declined everything courteously. By my fifth call, I'd reached the mobile phone plan. 3 lines under my registration. Mine, Veronica's, Miranda's. Representative suggested possibly suspending the other 2 lines, rather than complete cancellation. No, I stated, cancel both entirely. Just confirming, sir, this terminates service immediately. Correct, I verified. Processing that now. Returned to my list and continued working through it systematically. Auto insurance covering that Mazda, the vehicle I'd been insuring since its transmission failure 3 years prior. Called my agent directly. We'd gone to high school together, teammates on the basketball squad. Need to remove a vehicle for my coverage, I mentioned. Which one are we dropping? The Mazda. Brief silence on his end. That's your wife's vehicle, correct? You're certain? Absolutely certain. Understood, I'll process this today. She'll require separate coverage to continue driving it. Acknowledged that. He didn't press further, just confirmed he'd email documentation and ended our conversation. Moved to the bedroom and opened the closet. My clothing occupied perhaps 1/3 of the available space. Everything else belonged to her. Dresses purchased for restaurant dinners I'd financed. Footwear that cost more than my work boots. Coats she'd worn maybe twice total. Didn't touch anything. Simply stood there, recognizing how much personal space I'd surrendered without conscious awareness, how I'd compressed myself to accommodate someone else's expansion. Returned to find my laptop still open at the table. Retrieved the apartment lease documentation. My name, my signature. Veronica's name appeared nowhere on the contract. I'd signed 5 years ago when we moved in together. Her credit wasn't good at the time, she'd explained, asked if I'd handle it independently. I'd minded, but was too uncomfortable with conflict to voice objection. Too eager to be helpful, to solve problems, to be indispensable. Contacted Patterson Property Management. Grace in the office picked up after a couple rings. Need to discuss my current lease situation, I stated. Of course, what's happening? Planning to vacate ahead of schedule. What's the procedure? She accessed my account. I could hear keyboard sounds. You're current through the end of next month. Submit 30 days notice, and we'll begin showing it. Relocating for employment? Something along those lines. I'll transmit the form immediately, return it signed, and we'll list the unit right away. Market's performing well currently. Should secure new tenants quickly. Expressed my appreciation, opened her email before we'd even finished talking, signed electronically, and transmitted it back within moments. Completed. Phone vibrated with an incoming message from Theo. Dude, my phone just stopped working, what happened? Typed a response. The payment plan was under my account. You'll need to establish your own service now. Saw the typing indicator appear, disappear, reappear. Eventually, his reply came. Are you serious? Completely serious, I confirmed. Miranda messaged next with identical confusion and the same question. Provided the same answer. Then Veronica called, allowed it to ring several times before accepting. What exactly are you doing? Her voice had that compressed, restrained qualities she employed when angry but attempting concealment in public spaces. Making adjustments to my expenses, I responded calmly. You disconnected the kids' phone service. Disconnected the lines I was financing. They're legal adults now. They can manage their own accounts. This is absolutely absurd. We're about to board an international flight. Then you should probably address that before departure. Silence extended on her end. Could hear airport announcements in the background, boarding calls, and gate changes. You're behaving childishly, she eventually declared. I'm establishing clear boundaries, I countered. You wanted your authentic family on this vacation. I'm providing exactly that. That's not what I intended. That's precisely what you intended, I stated. She began formulating another argument, but I terminated the call before she could continue. No interest in circular debates. My hands remained steady throughout, voice never elevated, and experienced a calm I hadn't felt in years, like something constricted inside me had finally released. Completed 3 additional calls that afternoon. The gym membership I rarely utilized. The meal kit subscription featuring recipes Veronica selected. Auto detailing service I'd been financing monthly despite taking public transportation to work for cost savings. By evening, I'd reduced those 42 monthly expenses down to 11. Exclusively mine. Exclusively services I actually used. The reduction felt meaningful, almost liberating. Ordered Chinese delivery from the place down the street, consumed it at the kitchen table with my laptop open, reviewing documentation. 8 years functioning as the foundation while everyone acted like I was part of the actual building. Not continuing that anymore. That period was finished. Phone remained silent for the rest of the evening. No additional messages, no more incoming calls. Good. Had more significant work ahead tomorrow. The type that doesn't reverse with apologies or promises of improvement. The type that permanently closes doors rather than leaving them slightly open. Following morning, I contacted Wagner and Associates, a law office my coworker had recommended after his brother used them for divorce proceedings 2 years earlier. Didn't necessarily require divorce representation immediately, but needed clarity on my legal standing. Receptionist transferred me to Marcus Keller. His voice came through professional and efficient, no unnecessary conversation. How may I assist you? He inquired. Outlined the complete situation in under 3 minutes. The text message excluding me. The vacation I'd financed. The apartment registered exclusively in my name. Years of expenses I'd covered. Are you legally married? He asked. Affirmative. Duration? 6 years legally, approximately 2 additional years common law beforehand. Children. Hers. Both adults currently, 24 and 22. Brief pause, heard papers moving on his end. The apartment registration is exclusively yours, he verified. Correct. Lease and all utilities under my name. Then legally, you're within your rights to vacate. If you're contemplating separation, I strongly recommend comprehensive documentation. Every expense you've covered, every payment. That evidence becomes crucial if this proceeds to litigation. Already have it, I assured him. 8 years of records. Excellent. Contact me if she initiates any legal action. Meanwhile, preserve records of all communication. Text messages, emails, every interaction. Thanked him and disconnected. 20 minutes elapsed before Grace called back. Already have someone expressing interest, she informed me, sounding mildly surprised. Professional couple relocating for employment opportunities, requesting to view it this afternoon if you're available. I'll be present. They arrived precisely at 2 p.m., appeared polished and professional. The type who remit rent punctually and avoid complications. Walked through asking practical questions regarding heating costs, parking arrangements, laundry facilities in the building. Didn't inquire about my reasons for vacating. Wasn't their concern. We'll accept it, the husband announced before departing. Can we take possession on the 1st? That arrangement works, Grace confirmed. She appeared pleased with the straightforward placement. Signed all documentation that evening. Lease termination, deposit transfer, new tenant agreements, forwarding address. Field remaining blank temporarily. The apartment felt different following that. Less like a residence, more like temporary lodging I'd overstayed. Just transient space. Began packing that same night. Didn't own much in reality. Clothing, work equipment, laptop, collection of books. Most furniture either came with the apartment originally or Veronica had selected. The sofa, the dining set, all the decorative elements that made the space appear inhabited. None of it was mine. None reflected my preferences or taste. Got everything consolidated into 8 cardboard boxes and 2 duffel bags within 4 hours. While packing, I considered their trip currently underway. The museums they were visiting, the restaurants they were experiencing, The hotel accommodations I'd helped finance, wondered if Clayton was contributing financially or if Veronica simply assumed I'd continue funding everything despite being excluded. Probably the latter, consistent with her general approach to our relationship. Phone buzzed with a message from Miranda. Mom says you're being completely unreasonable. Can you please just talk to her? Sat on the bed edge and composed my response. I did talk to her. She made her decision. I'm making mine now. You're seriously going to destroy our family over this? Stared at that particular word. Family, the thing I'd wanted to belong to for 8 years. You destroyed it when you selected your biological father over the person who's been present for 8 years, I typed back. I'm simply accepting what you already decided. She didn't respond after that. I continued packing. Next day, drove to a climate-controlled storage facility on the east side of town. Month-to-month rental at reasonable rates. Loaded everything inside except what I'd required for the next 2 weeks. Clothing, basic toiletries, my laptop. When I secured the storage unit and tested the padlock, felt noticeably lighter, unburdened in a way I hadn't experienced in years. Stopped at the post office afterward. Established mail forwarding, but not to another apartment. To a P.O. box 3 towns over in a place called Riverside. Small town I'd researched the previous evening. Affordable cost of living, manufacturing employment, readily available, quiet atmosphere. I'd worked ceramics for 8 years. Could locate comparable employment anywhere. The skills transferred. Returned to the apartment one final time. Sat at that kitchen table where I'd planned a vacation I'd never experienced. Where I'd registered for overtime shifts to cover costs that were never genuinely ours. Opened the laptop and reviewed account balances. My savings remained virtually untouched. The joint checking sat nearly empty, but that was irrelevant now. Transferred the remaining balance to my personal account and closed the joint one completely. Clean separation. Phone rang immediately, Veronica's name displayed. I answered. The bank just contacted me, she stated without greeting. You closed our account? Closed my account, I corrected. You're welcome to establish your own. This is insane. We're married. Married, I stated, past tense. You'll receive documentation when you return. Documentation? What documentation? Divorce papers. Marcus Keller is managing it. Should be prepared when you land. Silence extended. Then her voice returned, altered, shakier. You're actually serious about this? Completely serious. Where are you even going? That's no longer your concern? You can't just abandon us like this. I can and I am. The apartment's already been rented to new occupants. You have 2 weeks to determine your living arrangements when you return. Provided you 30 days notice, identical to what I gave property management. You're putting us on the street, she accused, voice rising in pitch. I'm releasing you to your authentic family, I responded evenly. Clayton can provide assistance. That's what fathers do. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Your real family? Terminated the call before she could respond. The apartment went silent again. Looked around one final time. At the kitchen where I'd prepared meals for people who viewed me as a financial resource. At the living room where I'd watched programs I didn't enjoy because it pleased them. At the bedroom where I'd convinced myself that being exploited was equivalent to being loved. Tomorrow I'd surrender the keys to grace. Tonight I'd sleep more soundly than I had in years. 2 weeks elapsed in complete silence. Had already relocated to Riverside by the time their aircraft landed. Small furnished room situated above a hardware store on Main Street. Inexpensive rent with utilities included. Walking distance to Bishop Manufacturing, where I'd secured employment starting Monday. Same type of work, different facility, better compensation actually. Superior benefits as well. Didn't inform Veronica of my location. Didn't tell anyone from my previous life. First indication that things were deteriorating came through Theo's social media. He posted an airport photograph captioned, "Home Sweet Home, I think," accompanied by 3 confused face emojis. Didn't like or comment on it, simply observed from distance. An hour later, Miranda posted from the parking area. Why is there a moving truck at our building? Closed the application and prepared dinner. Eggs and toast. Simple, inexpensive, mine. No one else's preferences to accommodate. Phone remained quiet until 8:30 that evening. Then it erupted. 17 missed calls, 12 text messages, 3 voicemails. Allowed them to accumulate while watching local news on the small television included with the room. Road construction updates, school board meetings, weather forecasts. Nothing connected to me or my former life. Eventually, checked the messages. Veronica's first. Call me immediately. Second, where are you? Third, this isn't funny. Call me back. Theo's was more direct. What the hell, man? Miranda sent an entire paragraph. Didn't read beyond the opening sentence. I can't believe you're doing this to us. The voicemails all conveyed identical emotions. Panic, anger, confusion, disbelief. Her voice escalating with each recording. Deleted them without listening completely. Had heard sufficient. At 9:15, she attempted calling from a different number. Probably borrowed someone's phone, assuming I'd blocked hers. Answered this time. Where are you? She demanded without preamble. Somewhere else, I stated. The apartment's gone. Complete strangers are inhabiting it. Our belongings are scattered everywhere. We can't access it. Your belongings, I corrected. Mine are already relocated. You can't do this. Already did. Where are we supposed to stay? Took a measured breath. That's not my problem anymore, that you wanted Clayton involved. He's the father. Let him resolve it. Let him step up like you claimed you needed. He left, she said quietly. I paused. What? He left. Returned to his hotel 2 days into the trip claiming he had work obligations. Simply vanished. Won't answer calls. Nearly laughed. Nearly. So the person who abandoned his children once repeated it again. Shocking development. Don't be cruel. Being accurate, I stated. You selected him. Wanted the genuine article. Well, you received him. Got exactly who he's always been. We're at Bethany's currently, she explained. Her sister. Can't stay long. She doesn't have space for all of us. Call Clayton. Explain you require assistance. His phone directs straight to voicemail. We've tried everything. Then I suppose you'll need to determine something else. Maybe contact other family. Maybe resolve it like adults. You're really doing this, leaving us with nothing? You have exactly what you had before me, I said. Clayton, your decisions, each other. I'm simply not financing it anymore. Not subsidizing your lives anymore. She started crying then. Not genuine emotion, the frustrated type she employed when things didn't proceed her way. Recognized the pattern after 8 years. Please, she pleaded, just talk to me. We can repair this. There's nothing to repair. You informed me I wasn't part of your authentic family. I agreed with that assessment. That's the conclusion. I didn't intend it that way. You intended it precisely that way, I replied. You stated the kids want their biological father. Couldn't have been more explicit. Disconnected. 5 minutes later, Theo messaged, Mom's losing it, says you took everything. Replied, took what belonged to me. Everything else remains there. The apartment's gone. Apartment was registered in my name. Not paying rent for people who don't want me present. Where are we supposed to live? That's between you, your mother, and your father. The biological one. The one you wanted. He didn't message back. Miranda attempted calling an hour later. Didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Didn't listen to it. Around midnight, the phone finally quieted. Sat in the small room with the window open, listening to the town settling for the night. Distant traffic sounds, a dog barking somewhere, the streetlight humming outside. Peaceful sounds. Thought about them packed into Bethany's apartment, probably arguing about fault and responsibility. Probably attempting to contact Clayton repeatedly, receiving only voicemail. Thought about the trip they just completed, the photographs they'd posted online, museums and cafes and ancient buildings I'd helped finance. Thought about the text that initiated everything. The kids want their biological father. They got him, and now understood exactly what that meant. Powered off the phone, connected it to charge, went to bed. Tomorrow, new employment started. New town, new routine, new existence. No looking back, no exceptions, no regrets. 3 weeks into my position at Bishop Manufacturing, received an email from Marcus Keller. Legal notice arrived. She's filed a motion contesting the apartment situation and demanding you cover temporary housing expenses. Marcus attached the documents with a note. Weak case. She has no legal standing. The apartment was solely yours. Responded with one word, thanks. The motion got dismissed 2 days later. The judge's ruling was direct and unambiguous. Apartment was solely registered in my name. The lease termination was executed properly and legally. And I held no obligation to house adult stepchildren or an estranged spouse. Marcus forwarded the decision with another note. She can attempt again but won't succeed. Continue documenting everything. Save the email in a folder labeled legal and return to work. My new routine was straightforward and simple. Clock in at 6 in the morning, clock out at 2:30 in the afternoon. Stop at the diner down the street for coffee and occasionally pie. Walk back to my room, read, watch television, sleep, repeat. Nobody here knew my history. Nobody asked why I'd relocated to Riverside or where I'd originated from. Simply another worker who appeared, completed the job, and kept to himself. Felt right, felt honest. A month after they'd returned, Theo sent a message through social media. Almost didn't open it. I understand why you're angry, but this is affecting everyone. Mom had to accept a position at a call center. Miranda's couch surfing at friends' places. We had to sell possessions just to cover rent on a cheap place. Clayton won't respond to anyone. Can't you help even a little? Read it twice, then close the application without responding. 2 days later, Miranda tried a different approach. She sent a friend request on a platform I rarely used, declined it. Then she located my email address somehow. I never wanted this to occur, she wrote. I thought having my dad present would be nice. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Can we talk, please? Stared at the message for an extended period. Finally typed back, you're 22, Theo's 24, you're both adults. Your mother made a choice, you supported it, now you're dealing with the consequences. That's not my responsibility anymore. Sent it before second-guessing myself. She replied within minutes. So that's it? 8 years and you just walk away? Wrote back, you walked away first. I just made it official. She didn't respond after that. Closed my email. Work kept me sufficiently busy that I didn't check my phone frequently. The crew at Bishop was a decent, quiet group. Everyone focused on their individual tasks without drama. Ate lunch with a few of them occasionally, sometimes discussed sports or weather or local news, nothing personal or invasive. One afternoon, a coworker named Damien asked if I was from around here. No, I said, relocated here about a month ago. Family? Not anymore. He nodded like he understood and didn't press further. I appreciated that restraint. 6 weeks in, Veronica sent a final extended message. This one was longer, more desperate in tone. She explained how difficult everything had become, how she'd underestimated everything, how Clayton had completely vanished and wouldn't return calls or messages or emails, how Theo was working 2 jobs just to assist with rent, how Miranda had to drop a class because she couldn't afford the textbooks. I made a mistake, she wrote. I thought having Clayton present would make the kids happy. I didn't realize what I was surrendering. Can we please just discuss this? I miss you. We all do. Saved the message to the legal folder and didn't reply. That chapter was closed permanently. Marcus called a week later. She's attempting mediation now, he explained. Wants to negotiate a settlement. For what exactly, I asked. Alimony, temporary support. She's claiming financial hardship as grounds. How long were we legally married? 6 years. And I paid for everything that entire time? According to your documentation, yes. Everything. Then, what's she entitled to in this state? Very little, perhaps a small temporary amount depending on the judge's discretion. But given the circumstances and duration, I'd estimate we can contest it down to nothing. Do that, I instructed. The mediation session lasted 30 minutes. Marcus handled it via video call while I was at work. When I returned to my room that evening, he'd sent a detailed summary. Veronica had requested $2,000 monthly. The mediator offered $500 as a compromise. Marcus countered with 0. They settled on nothing. Case closed, his email stated. Divorce will finalize in 60 days. She has no grounds for support. Forwarded the email to my legal folder and prepared dinner. Rice, chicken, vegetables, simple food, my choices entirely. That night I sat by the window observing the quiet street below. A few cars passed occasionally. Streetlights activated as the sun descended. I thought about the text that had initiated everything, the one that arrived at 7:15 on a Tuesday morning while I was finishing breakfast. I thought about the choice she'd made, the choice they'd all made together. And I thought about the life I was constructing now. Small, quiet, mine. No debt, no drama, no one extracting from me while pretending it was love. Somewhere across the state, they were determining what life looked like without someone covering all the bills. Theo working 2 jobs. Miranda couch surfing at various friends' apartments. Veronica at a call center answering complaint calls for minimum wage, probably wondering how everything collapsed so rapidly. Clayton, wherever he was, had proven exactly who he'd always been. And me? I was exactly where I needed to be. Free for the first time in 8 years. 4 months after I'd departed, I was sitting in the break room at Bishop Manufacturing when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something prompted me to pick up. Hello? Is this you? A woman's voice, not Veronica. Older, exhausted sounding. Who's asking? It's Bethany, your wife's sister. I set down my coffee. What do you need? I need you to know what you've done, she stated without preamble. Her voice carried an edge, sharp and accusing. They're falling apart. My sister's working 60 hours weekly at that call center and can barely afford groceries. The kids are struggling badly. Theo had to abandon his certification program because he couldn't pay for it while helping with rent. Miranda's sleeping on friends' couches because they can't afford a 2-bedroom apartment. I let her finish completely. You done? I asked. Don't you care at all? I cared for 8 years, I said. Paid for everything. Took extra shifts, covered emergencies, signed my name on leases and loans and bills. And the second they decided they wanted their biological father instead of me, I became disposable. So no, Bethany, I don't care anymore. She made a mistake. She made a choice, I corrected firmly. There's a fundamental difference between those two things. Clayton won't even communicate with them, Bethany continued. He blocked their numbers, won't return emails. Theo tried appearing at his workplace and security escorted him out. That man is a complete coward. I agree completely, I said, but that's not my problem to solve. They wanted him, they got exactly who he is, they got the authentic version they claimed they needed. You're punishing them. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply not rescuing them anymore. There's a significant difference. She was quiet for a moment. I heard her breathing on the other end, attempting to compose herself. My sister cries every night, Bethany finally said. She knows she messed up badly. Then she can live with that knowledge. You're cold. I'm clear, I corrected. I spent 8 years being warm, accommodating, and generous. It earned me a text message uninviting me from a vacation I financed entirely. So yeah, I'm done being warm. Bethany disconnected without another word. I finished my coffee and returned to work. That night I received an email. Not from Veronica, from Miranda. The subject line read, I'm sorry, and I opened it. I know you probably won't read this, it began, but I need to express it anyway. I was stupid. I got caught up in the idea of having my dad around. He'd been gone so long, and when he appeared at graduation, it felt like maybe things could be different, like maybe he'd changed. He hadn't. He left again 2 days after we returned, told Mom he had work commitments and just vanished. His phone's disconnected now. We can't reach him at all. It's like he was never there. Theo and I have talked extensively about what happened. We both realize now what you did for us. The things you paid for, the stability you provided consistently. We took it for granted because it was always just there. We didn't understand that you were the reason it was there. Mom's a complete mess. She won't admit it, but I know she regrets everything. She thought having Clayton on that trip would make us happy. She didn't think you'd actually leave. None of us did. I'm not asking you to return. I know that's not going to happen. But I wanted you to know that we understand now. We understand what we lost. I read it 3 times carefully. Then I wrote back, Miranda, I appreciate you writing this. I do. But understanding what you lost doesn't change the fact that you were willing to lose it in the first place. You're 22. Theo's 24. You're both old enough to have known better. Your mother definitely knew better. I gave 8 years. I didn't do it expecting gratitude, but I also didn't do it expecting to be replaced the moment someone more authentic appeared. You wanted your biological father. You chose him. And when he disappeared again, just like he did when you were children, you learned who he actually is. That's a difficult lesson, but it's one you needed to learn. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I hope you figure things out. I hope Theo finishes his program eventually. I hope your mother finds stability, but I won't be part of that process. Take care of yourself. I sent it and closed my laptop. 2 weeks later, the divorce finalized. Marcus sent the documents via email. I signed them digitally and returned them. No ceremony, no drama, no courthouse appearance required. Just paperwork that made official what had already been true for months. That weekend, I drove to a state park about an hour from Riverside, walked one of the trails, sat by a lake watching the water move in the wind. I thought about the person I'd been 4 months ago, the guy finishing breakfast at 7:15 a.m., opening a text that would change everything. I thought about the apartment I'd left behind, the bills I'd stopped paying, the family that had never really been mine despite 8 years of trying. And I thought about the life I had now. Small, quiet, uncomplicated, a job I didn't hate, a town where nobody knew my history or asked invasive questions, a bank account only I had access to. I wasn't bitter, I wasn't angry, I was just free. A month after the divorce finalized, I encountered Damien from work at the hardware store below my room. He was purchasing paint supplies for his garage's renovation project. "You settling in okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Better than okay, actually." He nodded. "Good. You seem different than when you first arrived here. Lighter, somehow." I am lighter. He didn't ask why, just clapped me on the shoulder and returned to comparing paint colors. That night, I deleted every photo I had of my old life. The apartment, the trips we'd taken, the family dinners where I'd smiled for the camera while feeling like an outsider. All of it gone with a few clicks. I kept one thing, though. A screenshot of that first text, the one that arrived at 7:15 a.m. on a Tuesday. "Change of plans. You won't be joining us. The kids decided they want their biological father for the Europe trip instead." I kept it as a reminder not of what I'd lost, but of what I gained by walking away. Dignity, peace, a life that actually belongs to me. 6 months in Riverside turned into a full year. I got a small raise at Bishop, started going to a local diner on Friday nights where the waitress knew my order without asking, bought a used truck that ran well enough for my needs. I didn't date, wasn't ready for that, maybe wouldn't be for a while longer, but I was okay with that. I'd spent 8 years building a foundation for people who saw me as temporary and disposable. Now I was building something permanent, just for me. And that was enough. More than enough, actually.